Hey folks, I'm Zach. I'm on a peninsula in a lake, and I'm talking about cleanliness and hygiene. And as I'm gathering up my belongings on this little peninsula of land, I've stumbled across a feather, which is beautiful. It makes me think, remember when, there's also a snail in my water bottle, which I need to get off. But remember when we were growing up, and hopefully your parents were the same way, but my parents let me just they didn't just let me, they made me play outside for a certain amount of time every day. They would not just let me sit around on the computer or playing with Legos or whatever. And we would just go around doing absolute crackhead stuff, like fighting each other with sticks, jumping off trees, climbing up trees, collecting and eating flowers and random berries and stuff. I don't know if you all did this. I'm happy I didn't eat the wrong berries, because there were definitely poisonous ones in my yard. But like picking up feathers these days, after the bird flu happened 5 or 6, 7 years ago, whatever it was, I bet a lot of parents would tell kids to put the feathers down. You're dirty. They're dirty. You might get sick from them. And it's incredible. People are so germophobic these days. It is insane. And I think it's actually biting people in the butt. And when I say it's biting people in the butt, it's because people, when they're very young, have to develop a good immune system, a nice, strong immune system. And how do you develop a strong immune system? Is it from sitting inside and making sure you're never exposed to anything dangerous or unpleasant? No, it's not. The kids who are proven to develop the strongest immune systems and not get allergies and not get sick as often are the kids who play outside in the dirt, the kids who eat handfuls of dirt, the kids who have pet dogs that get dirty and then they sort of put their face right against their fur. Those kids are exposed to tons of microbes and things, and they develop antibodies to resist them. And their body, more importantly, their immune system, I need to wash my feet right now. Speaking of dirt, my feet have been walking in the mud all the way out here. Their bodies and their immune systems develop the adaptability to deal with foreign invaders, intruders, sicknesses that helps them not get sick later. Because after growing up outdoors around all sorts of dirty stuff, their body knows how to respond to, let's see, some pollen in the air, for example. They're not going to get allergies if they spent their whole childhood playing outside. I barely have allergies. Pollen doesn't really bother me, but I know a lot of people are getting, they're sneezing now because there's pollen in the air and they did not spend their childhood outside. Meanwhile, you get kids who grow up in cities away from real outdoor dirt and animals and stuff. They have the highest rate of respiratory ailments, especially kids who grow up in like the inner city and really don't get much nature time. They end up getting sickly and frail and weak when they're older, and that's because they haven't been around nature to make themselves strong. But these days it's getting even worse, especially after COVID. People have become neurotic about cleanliness. Hand sanitizer, many times a day. Can't live without it. Everything. Wash your hands. Not just like once after you use the bathroom, but at least 20 or 30 times a day. You gotta stay safe, right? And that is doing the opposite of keeping you safe. Just like women who use shampoo and conditioner every single day and start to find that their hair is losing volume. It's not so shiny as it used to be. Well, that's like washing your hands too much and using too much hand sanitizer and stuff. Being afraid of germs. Oh, I need to make sure everything is well microwaved and well cooked before I eat it. People who live their whole life afraid of germs will start seeing negative effects from that. Now, it has been proven that you don't need to use shampoo or conditioner. It is something that you only need to use after you develop a dependency on it. I think there might be people shooting out there or something. I hear weird noises. Anyway, I, for example, do not use shampoo or conditioner. Does my hair smell bad? No, not at all. It smells naturally good. Is it shiny, or is it the opposite of shiny? Is it sort of dull and frizzy and hard to control? Not at all. It's my hair is probably the healthiest it's ever been since I stopped using all those products. Back while I used them, I put them in, I tried to brush my hair out afterwards, and it was like a limp string. It was impossible to make it do what I wanted to. Now, it works perfectly, nice and shiny, because I'm not using all those crappy products that have a bunch of bad stuff in them. Just like hand sanitizer. Is it a good idea to put alcohol all over your hands? Of course not. Your body is evolved to fight germs. We're not just like gooey bags of skin. We have lots of mechanisms inside ourselves to keep us alive. in nature. There's no reason why we need to use all sorts of artificial chemicals to keep us alive. Now, I'm not saying all vaccines are bad or anything. I got the tetanus shot. I got all sorts of other shots and vaccines. I'm happy I did it. Not so happy about COVID just because it wasn't tested well enough, but all the other ones I'm happy. But there's a sort of risk-reward sort of thing. And for example, I'll talk about malaria, which is a disease you could get from mosquitoes in tropical countries. And you could take a drug that is an anti-malarial. You have to take it every day when you're in those countries, and it makes you not get malaria if you get bitten by one of those mosquitoes. Sounds good, right? Well, not quite. Because the actual side effects of that drug that prevent malaria are almost as bad as malaria itself. The drug is horrible for your immune system and your body. But it stops you from getting a long-term disease, doesn't it? Something that's like a strong fever that pops up every few years. It's a risk-reward thing. If you think, I'll definitely get malaria if I don't take it for a week or two, take it. If you're going to be living in a tropical country for years, don't bother with that stuff. It's the same thing for kids growing up. If kids grow up staying in nature, getting dirty, doing things that are not completely safe, they'll grow up strong and their bodies will be able to resist everything. But if they grow up being germophobic, or rather having germophobic parents, because I've never met a kid who by themselves was afraid to touch dirt or play in a dirty sandbox, play with a filthy dog outside. Never met a kid who did that if their parents didn't instill that in them. If someone grows up being germophobic, they'll spend the rest of their life having to be very, very careful because their body has not learned to deal with any trouble. But the thing I really worry about is it seems like the trend is to keep parents, not to keep parents, but yeah, to keep parents, but also to keep kids inside more and more. Kids are, at least when I was teaching them, I'd ask them, what did you do last weekend? And they would say, I scrolled TikTok. I was teaching English as a foreign language, so excuse their grammar, but they say, I scrolled TikTok, or I scrolled Facebook, or I scrolled, or I looked at whatever social media site. I played Free Fire, I played Fortnite. And I thought to myself, these kids, I was teaching in Borneo, which is like right in the middle of like this beautiful jungle island. There's hiking within an hour or two drive, like mountains to climb and stuff. How are these kids, not their fault obviously, but how are their parents having them stay inside all day? Like, those kids are going to be raised with no appreciation of nature. Indeed, a lot of the adults there, I'd ask them if they've ever hiked, like, there are mountains and stuff within a mile or two of the city, an hour or two, I mean. And a lot of them would say, no, I've never been hiking, I've never been camping. And that's here too in America. There are a lot of people who have never been hiking or camping for whatever reason, even though there's all this beautiful nature around us. I think that's all related to being afraid of, the same sort of thing as being afraid of germs and stuff. Just not having that outdoorsy lifestyle will make you physically weaker in the future. Yes, you might get sick as a kid. Just like if you climb trees and stuff, yes, you might fall out and like hurt yourself a little bit, but you'll heal and be stronger. I wish I had climbed more because now I'm sort of afraid to jump more than 5 feet down to the ground. If I was one of those kids who was like a redneck and to jump off the roof into a pool, I would not be afraid to jump down 10 feet from something. I wouldn't be afraid of hurting my knees or whatever. It's all stuff like that. You have to sort of live life to the fullest when you're young. Otherwise, you're not going to be able to when you're older. Your body won't be able to take it because it hasn't learned to do it when it was young and still growing and developing all its strengths. Anyway, that has been sort of a weird rant, a very rambling rant about people who are too just germophobic and afraid of being outside, people who just sequester themselves in the man-made side of life and weaken themselves physically and mentally, and I think morally too, by doing it. If I've described you somehow, I mean, you're already watching outdoor videos, so just the next step is going outdoors and touching grass, as the memes say. But go outside, have fun, sleep outdoors, go camping or something. If you are doing that, I mean, there's always a higher adventure you could take. If you've gone camping before, go on like a backpacking camping trip where you stay out a couple nights in a row. There's always a way to push yourself further out of that comfort zone because it'll make you stronger mentally, physically, everything. Anyway, folks, peace out. I'll see you all later, and get yourself outside that comfort zone.